This is Heart Rhythm TV, and I'm Daniel Alyesh here with Late Breaking Science for the FHRS 2025 scientific session here in San Diego. And I'm joined today by Dr. Prashanthan Sanders.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So, today we're going to discuss your presentation on the 1-year Volt CE mark data. Only a few weeks ago, we discussed the 6-month data at ERA, but now we get to look at the 1-year data. So, 150 patients in this study predicted out for a year. This is the Volt catheter, which is a mapping integrated balloon-based PFA system with a contact metric with impedance. So it's first off, Prash, tell us what you learned and overall.
I mean, this is an additional paper to what we've presented so far. So there were 2 endpoints that we needed to talk about. One was the acute success and the acute complication rates, or the complication rates through the study. And then this paper really talks about the end result, which is a 12-month data in terms of the success rate. So one of the key things here is this is 150 patients, mostly paroxysmal, some persistent AF, and it used a pulmonary vein isolation strategy only with the Volt catheter. And we've projected out both in terms of symptomatic AF recurrence, together with asymptomatic AF detected by transtelephonic monitoring, ECGs, and Holter monitoring. And what we've ended up with is a success rate of around 83% for paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, but in the 50s, 58% for persistent atrial fibrillation. This is over a 12-month period, and I think that's kind of important. But I make a couple of other points with that, is if we look now at redo cases as a result of this, only 10% of patients went on for redo. So we only had 8 patients who had a redo. So although you detect AF, in terms of patient choice for further ablation procedures, this is actually pretty good, okay? And 8 patients have redos, and in those patients, when we reassess the pulmonary veins, 27 out of 30 pulmonary veins remain isolated. Okay, so we're now talking about a durable procedure and allows us to look at the science behind how much we should be doing in these patients.
No, I think that's first off an excellent summary. So this is the remap subset is a biased subset, right? These are patients that have recurrences. We're not systematically mapping these patients. These are people that have recurrences, and they're 90% durably isolated. The paroxysmal data is what we've come to expect with PFA, right?
Yeah.
83%, looking, on par with a lot of the other technologies that we looked at. And the 58%, that's something that really gets at our understanding of persistent atrial fibrillation. You almost look at that, you think to yourself, what percentage of those patients were long-standing? Probably not any.
No.
Right? So philosophically, the veins are durably isolated in a kind of biased subset. So projecting forward, for those patients, what can we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think what the data is now going to show us is really the pulmonary veins alone are not enough for persistent AF, and we really have to improve our science and our understanding of where else we should go, how else we can modify the substrate, and do it in a form that we're not increasing arrhythmias. Because so far, all the studies have shown we've increased arrhythmias with whatever else we've done. And so that's going to be the key for the next few years of our research, I think.
No, I agree with you. I think we've been on this journey before where we find something, we hold on to it, we can't reproduce it. Quite frankly, I think the flavor for that right now is intracardiac AI, the targeted wavefront dispersions, PRISM algorithms, other things for looking at how can the human mind got us where we are for 20 years. Now the human mind augmented with AI, again, promising, but not necessarily reproduced yet.
Totally. Right? We need to evaluate those as well. But definitely a change in direction is required.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, taking us to one of the final points, which is that in the world of PFA, what we're learning, right, there's no free lunch. There's such thing as too much. Yeah. There's such thing as too much with regards to hemolysis, vasospastic issues, kidney injury, etc. So, interesting data that we found, and this is more kind of going to the CE mark 6-month data, but understanding haptoglobin LDH.
So I think that this is an important point. We are seeing hemolysis, and I think all PFA inherently is going to put people at risk of hemolysis. The question is, are there things we could do differently? And one of the cool things with the Volt catheter is it has a balloon, and so when you're delivering energy, the balloon's inflated, and so there's less blood flow, theoretically, past the electrodes that are delivering this. We did, in a subset of patients, evaluate hemolytic markers, and the good thing is clinically we didn't see anything significant, and biochemically we didn't see significant hemolysis with this. There is a degree, so we did see LDH going up, for example, but I think we're going to expect to see that with all systems, but this was appearing to be pretty safe.
No, I agree with you, and I think, we're noticing certain class effects with PFA. And I think newer designs will help us understand and mitigate some of those class effects.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, Prash, congratulations on a great study.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for joining me.
Cool. Thanks.
And thank you all for tuning in to Heart Rhythm Tutor.